news is, did you know that AI apps like ChatGPT can help you with executive dysfunction? I'm really excited about this. And today I'm covering about 10 ChatGPT prompts to help you accommodate your neurodivergent brain. And by the way, I know I haven't been around for a while, so stick around to the end if you want an update on what I have been up to. Long story short, medical insurance sucks. Large language models, LLMs for short, like ChatGPT, are quickly transforming the way we live and work. We haven't seen something this technologically game changing since the first iPhone in 2007. At least that's what I think. And if you ask me, it's going to be the greatest productivity tool since sliced bread for us neurodivergent spoonies. But I also know it can be overwhelming to get started. Here's today's agenda. First, we're going to do an explain like I'm five what are large language models such as ChatGPT. Then we're going to do ChatGPT 101. How do you create a ChatGPT prompt? How do you create a ChatGPT account and get started? Basically, a really super beginner friendly class on building your own ChatGPT prompts. And then we're going to dive into the prompts I've created for you to help with executive dysfunction. And by the way, if you haven't seen my original video explaining executive dysfunction at length, you can check it out in this card or at the link in the description box below. And now, without any further ado, let's get started. So, what is a large language model, besides being something that's hard to say quickly? I want you to think of LLMs as God tier predictive text. The large in large language model refers to the size of the data set the model is trained on. Let's have some fun and actually ask ChatGPT itself what an LLM is. Alrighty, so what you're looking at right now is a ChatGPT conversation I had when I was planning out this video. We will get to the point of how this actually happens later. I just want to read to you what ChatGPT shared about itself. The original question I asked is here up at the top. What is a large language model? Explain like I'm a child. I'm not sure where this please write in English language came from. That seemed to happen on its own, and I'm a little confused about it. So we're just going to ignore that happened. Anyways, let's look at the first answer. Imagine you have a friend who knows a lot about many different things. They have read a lot of books and talked to many people, so they have a huge amount of knowledge in their head. Now, imagine that this friend can also understand and talk in many different languages. They are really good at understanding what you say and giving you helpful answers. A large language model is like having a friend like that, but in the form of a computer program. It has been trained using a lot of information from books, articles, and websites. It has learned so much that it can understand what you say and answer your questions in a way that makes sense. Just like your friend, this computer program doesn't have feelings or thoughts of its own. Let's reread that sentence again. Just like your friend, this computer program doesn't have feelings or thoughts of its own. As you can see, that is an incorrect sentence because your friend, your friends, the people in your life do have feelings and thoughts of their own. So this sentence right here is an example of what they call a hallucination, where it's evident that this is just God tier predictive text and it cannot be guaranteed to be factually accurate. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the future, but I think what it was trying to say is, unlike your friends, this computer program doesn't have feelings or thoughts of its own, which is quite clear because if ChatGPT had feelings, it wouldn't say your friends didn't have feelings. Boggles the mind. Anyways, let's move on. ChatGPT goes on to say, ChatGPT can't really understand things like humans do. As we just discussed, that is true, but it can use all the information it has learned to try and help you with your questions. It's like having a really smart friend who knows a little bit about everything and is always ready to help you learn new things or find answers to your questions. So then I added to the conversation and I said, explain like I'm an adult. So it's going to understand that this is a continuation of my original question, which is, what is a large language model? And I've just changed what kind of answer I'm looking for. I want a more nuanced adult answer this time. So let's see what ChatGPT says. Certainly, it's very Very polite. A large language model is a sophisticated computer program that has been trained to understand and generate human like text. It's designed to process and analyze vast amounts of information from various sources such as books, articles, websites, and more. This model uses advanced algorithms and machine learning techniques to learn the patterns and structures of language, aka predictive text. It can understand the meaning behind the words you input and generate relevant responses based on the information it has been trained on. The training process involves exposing the model to a vast data set, allowing it to learn the statistical relationships between words, phrases, and concepts. I want to emphasize that for a little bit. The statistical relationships between words, phrases, and concepts. It's predictive text. That's what a large language model is. Think of the large language model as a tool that helps you with language related tasks. It can assist with answering questions, providing explanations, offering suggestions, or even engaging in conversation. It does this by leveraging its knowledge and understanding of language patterns acquired during its training. While the language model can generate responses that appear coherent and relevant, it's important to remember that it doesn't possess consciousness, thoughts, or opinions. It's purely an algorithmic system designed to process and generate text based on patterns and probabilities. Again, this is predictive text. In essence, a large language model serves as a powerful language processing tool capable of understanding and generating human like text, making it useful for various applications such as natural language understanding, content generation, and interactive communication. And now let's get to another important element of what LLMs are. The next question I asked was describe the dataset ChatGPT 4 was trained on. As an AI language model based on Chat GPT 3.5, my knowledge is limited to information available up until September 2021. Since this is on screen, I'm not going to go ahead and read this whole thing. I just wanted to explain that depending on the large language model you have access to or are using, the data set it was trained on is finite. At this point in time, we're starting to see plugins with large language models. So, for example, ChatGPT 4, which is the paid version of OpenAI's large language model, and you can start having access to the internet. So, the large language model can also search the internet, and it's easier to find accurate information, but you still have to do your own fact checking. It's really helpful to remember that large language models such as ChatGPT or Bing Chat, which I believe is also based on ChatGPT, and Google's answer to ChatGPT, which is Bard, it's just God tier predictive text. It doesn't mean it's accurate. So it's really important that you use your critical thinking skills and you do fact checking when you are trying to use a large language model for research, for example, to find information. And ironically, that's actually one of the reasons why I think ChatGPT is so great for things like executive dysfunction, because you don't have to worry about the fact finding so much because it's outsourcing your executive function to a large language model, which is something it can be much better at doing without you worrying about fact checking. It's really cool. The last question I asked was, what is a prompt for an LLM such as ChatGPT? And the word prompt means the thing you say to the large language model that then prompts it to give you a response. So, for example, my prompt here was, what is a prompt for an LLM such as ChatGPT? So that's my answer. Let's hear what its answer is. A prompt for a large language model like ChatGPT is a piece of text or a question that you provide to the model as an input. It serves as a starting point or a guide to help the model understand what you're asking or what kind of response you're looking for. For example, if you want to know the capital city of France, you could use the prompt, what is the capital city of France? The model will analyze this prompt and generate a response based on its training and knowledge. Prompts can vary in length and complexity depending on the desired information or task, and you'll see concrete examples of that when we move on to the prompt sharing part of today's video. They can be as short as a single sentence or as long as a paragraph. Or longer, as you will soon see. The prompt can be in the form of a question, a statement, or even incomplete phrases. When interacting with a large language model, providing a clear and specific prompt can help guide the model's response and increase the chances of receiving the desired information. It's important to note that the quality and accuracy of the response may depend on the clarity and relevance of the prompt provided. You'll see how that comes into play because in some of the more complex prompts I'm going to share with you today, there's some nuance in the language because I made sure to brute force test all of the prompts I'm sharing with you today. So I know that as of today, in the free version of ChatGPT, they all work. If you finally understand what large language models are, please write Eureka in the comments. So, how does one get started using OpenAI's ChatGPT? You start off simply by going to this URL, chat.openai.com. Notice that there's no www in there. It's just https://chat. Once you get there, you click sign up. You follow the on-screen instructions to create an account, et voila, you have access to the free version of ChatGPT. Let's take a look at the interface that you will find once you're inside. The first thing I want to be really clear about is all of these things up here. This is thanks to a Chrome extension called AI PRM ChatGPT prompts. It's a free Chrome extension. Go to the Chrome web store, search for this extension and install it into your browser. You have to create a free account with AI PRM. But then what it does is it gives you this library of prompts, which can be really helpful. But if you don't have this installed, all of this will be gone. And the only thing you will see is this down here, this simple little box with output in, tone, writing style, and then send a message and the send button. So you won't see any of this unless you add that Chrome extension. You'll just be seeing this. And then over here in the left column will be a button for new chat, but then all of these are the chats that you have open. In the settings down here behind my face, you can make it so it doesn't remember all of the conversations you've had. If you want, for privacy reasons, you don't want OpenAI to be using your chats to further train its large language models. If you want that privacy, you can turn that off, but then that means your chats will not be saved over here in the sidebar. I have noticed that sometimes ChatGPT needs a good old refresh. So if this is blank when you go to a thing, just go click refresh in your web browser. This is the basic interface. I just wanted to give you a itty bitty tour. Now let's get back to full screen me so you can learn about how you make your own prompts so you can understand how I built the prompts that I'm going to be sharing with you today. When you're first starting to learn about how to prompt ChatGPT to get it to do what you want it to do, there are some tips that can be really, really helpful. So, in addition to simply writing a question, you can assign ChatGPT an expert role. So, for example, before you ask your question, you say, you are a productivity expert, or you are an ADHD expert, you are a life coach, you are an autism expert, you are an expert administrative assistant, yada, yada, yada. Whatever kind of expert you want to be answering your question inside ChatGPT, you just tell ChatGPT that's who they are. It feels a little impolite, but just say you are expert of choice, period, and then you add your question. Another thing you can do is if you don't have necessarily a question in mind, like you're struggling to figure out what question you're trying to ask, you can, after saying you are blank expert, you can then go on to say, I am struggling with, and then describe what you're struggling with. And then after that, you can ask this magical question, what information do you need to know in order to help me? And that combo, the tour de force of you are a XYZ expert, I am struggling with yada yada. What information do you need to know in order to help me? That combo is magical and will probably help you be able to do everything you want with ChatGPT, with the caveat of, like, if you're doing research, making sure to fact check what ChatGPT tells you with your own internet searches. All right, y'all, my cat's exploding. Fizz, what are you doing? Fizz, I'm working. Oh, goodness. Hi. See these conditions I have to work under? What? Stop it. You're too cute. So, like you saw with my original What is an LLM conversation, you saw me give an original prompt, and then after its first response, I gave it an additional prompt. So, like, now explain like I'm an adult. It was an ongoing conversation with me continuing to prompt it and ask it to either change, refine, or add to the original question. So it was an ongoing conversation. If you find yourself going quickly off path of where you're trying to get, there are two things you can do. You can edit your original prompt, which you do by clicking the little writing icon. I'll show a screen grab real quick. Or you can click the magical button at the magical button at the bottom of the conversation that says regenerate response. I find editing my original prompt to be the most effective, and usually just tweaking one or two words can make a huge difference. Those tools can be so helpful inside ChatGPT to guide ChatGPT to do the thing you want it to do to help you. Another thing that's really important to understand and will be really relevant for a lot of the prompts that I share with you today is if after you ask it, what information do you need in order to help me? A lot of the times, ChatGPT will give you a numbered list of the questions it wants you to answer. And when it does that, the way you answer it is you give it a numbered list back. If it asks you, what is your favorite color for number one, you just say 1 dot space blue or whatever your favorite color is. You don't have to include the question in your answer. Thank goodness. Anybody else have traumatic memories of having to include all of your questions in every handwritten answer? I'm dating myself here. Anyways, and then let's say if question 3 was, what is your favorite food? You answer that number 3. So you just create your own numbered list and you just give the answers in the appropriate number for what question it asked you. So once you answer its numbered questions in your own numbered list with just the answers, you just send that back and then it should proceed with the conversation based on the parameters you've already established. Another thing you can do is continuing the conversation. So you're giving an additional prompt in the same conversation. You can ask GPT to edit its answer. So if clicking the button regenerate response isn't quite doing it for you, you can simply say, hey, could you simplify your answer? Because sometimes it'll spit out like a small book for you. You're like, can you shorten that to like one sentence? You can ask it to do that. You can add, explain like I'm a child, or other things. You can ask for it to, like I just said, shorten. You can also ask for it to lengthen. And then this is very sneaky because remember how in the free version, when I was giving you a tour of the screen, you can set different tones. You can just ask it inside a conversation without having to get the paid version. You'd be like, hey, could you say that again, but in a more casual way or a more academic way or a more professional way? Obviously, in your version, you would pick one of those. I'm just giving you ideas for what kinds of tones you could ask it for. You can also ask ChatGPT to reformat its answer. So you can have it add markdown so that there will be headings, subheadings, bullets. That makes it really nice to copy and paste over to something like Notion, because then it's formatted. You can also ask it to strip Markdown if you want it to be stripped of all formatting. You could be like, hey, thanks for the numbered list, but I want a bulleted list, something like that. So those are the basics of learning how to prompt a large language model such as ChatGPT. And I have found those to be really all I need to get ChatGPT to do what I want it to do. There are some frequently asked questions, and by that I mean the ones that I asked when I was first getting into this. I had a problem with ChatGPT not authenticating, and I discovered that was because I use a pretty snazzy web browser for most of my life called Shift, but Shift doesn't play well with ChatGPT, so I had to use ChatGPT in Chrome, and that solved the not authenticating error that I was getting. Another thing that can happen when you're using the free version of ChatGPT is the servers can be busy, so on occasion you'll go in, want to get some help from ChatGPT, and it's like, sorry, servers are busy, come back and try again later. If you get the paid version, that really won't be a problem, but sometimes it's a problem with the free version. I will say that in the process of prepping for this video, I did not encounter that once. It was back earlier in the days of me using ChatGPT. So we talked about privacy a little bit. You just got to make sure to go into the settings. Like if you do not want OpenAI using your chats to continue to train its large language models, you have to toggle that privacy setting so it's not saving your chats. But then it's not saving your chats for you to reference yourself later. It's kind of annoying, but it's important for you to know that. And then the paid version, I believe, is like $20 a month. So steep, but man, the stuff you get with it, it's nice. So far, I have not found it necessary in my life to get the paid version, but what's really cool right now is they're adding a whole bunch of plugins. One that looked really, really shiny to me was Talk to Your PDF. I don't know if that's exactly what it was called, but you can essentially share a link to a PDF in your ChatGPT chat and then talk to ChatGPT as if it were the PDF itself and it could answer you questions. I love that so much. So plugins are like the new shiny, which I have yet to dive into. But $20 a month is a lot, and it's not quite worth it for me and my needs yet, probably being the operative word. So those were my frequently asked questions. Hope they were helpful for you. Now let's dive into prompts. LLMs like ChatGPT are a game changer for those of us who struggle with executive dysfunction because it allows us to outsource cognitive tasks that require certain forms of executive function, such as time management, behavioral initiation, prioritizing and planning, organization, working memory, metacognition, and emotional regulation. I'm so excited. Let's dive into the prompts I've made for you, shall we? You'll notice that some of these prompts are simple and follow my ChatGPT 101 guide we just went over, while others are much more complicated. This is because after brainstorming all of the prompts I wanted to share, I went and tested them. Some of them worked beautifully in their original simple form, while others needed some extra work. And I didn't want you to have to do that extra work. I just wanted you to have some executive function prompts that work. So that's why I went and did the work. But hopefully, my ChatGPT 101 guide that we just went over will help you when ChatGPT goes awry. As you practice using LLMs to help with your executive function, you will become better at prompting it. So, some time management prompts. We got a simple one and a complex one. The simple one is, you are a time estimate expert. How long does it take to? And then you insert your task or project. And then you just hit send. How many of us struggle to figure out how long something is going to take? And so much of what ChatGPT does is it gives us that first step so that we can then have something to work with instead of having to solve the blank page problem and just getting some idea of what the internet thinks how long something will take, or at least the internet prior to September 2021 can make all the difference, because then you can look at that number and compare it to your capacity and your needs and what you do happen to know about yourself and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but I think it'll take a little longer for me. Or that makes sense, but I think I can actually do that a little faster. Very handy. So that's prompt number one. And it occurs to me that this video is already running long, so we're going to try to speed run the rest of these prompts. And at the end, I'm going to share with you a way to get access to all of these prompts in a shiny PDF format so you don't have to worry about taking notes off of a YouTube video, because that's annoying. So let's proceed, shall we? Here's a complex time management prompt. Expert persona, day planner assistant. Goal, assist in planning the user's day. Parameters and rules. 1. The assistant should provide a structured plan for the user's day. 2. The plan should include tasks, activities, and time allocations. 3. The assistant can ask for additional information or preferences to create a more personalized plan. The plan should consider the user's priorities, available time, and any known commitments. Tone of voice, friendly, organized, and supportive. Initial prompt, quote, plan your day. To help you plan your day effectively, please provide the following details. 1. Your top priorities or tasks for the day. 2. Any specific time constraints or commitments you already have. 3. Your preferred time for starting and ending the day. 4. Any breaks or downtime you'd like to include. Based on this information, I will create a structured plan for your day, including suggested time allocations for each task. Feel free to mention any additional preferences or requirements you may have. Let's make the most of your day. End quote. Y'all, so much of planning involves the things that ChatGPT can just do. I will say that sometimes it doesn't quite understand the math of time. So you'll say you're busy from 2 to 3, and then it'll tell you to do something else from 2 to 3. So you need to make sure to double check that. But I still think this is absolutely invaluable because it can help you think through what is on your plate for the day. It's like you can hand it your full to the brim plate for the day, and it will explain it back to you, break it down, and help you figure out how to eat everything off of your plate in a way that doesn't kill you. Amazing. And I will say that this prompt can be modified to help you with weekly and monthly planning. You just swap out day for week or month. A lot of the prompts I'm sharing with you today that have time constraints like that can be swapped out for different periods of time. Now for some behavior initiation prompts. You are an ADHD or mental health, productivity, pick your expert. I'm struggling to get motivated to do something right now. What do you need to know in order to help me? So magical. Another one, draft a insert tone, what your desired tone, response to the email below. And then you just paste the email. I can't tell you how hard the you all know, I don't have to tell you how hard the blank page problem is for drafting emails. And ChatGPT just solves that problem. It's amazing because then it's so much easier to edit something that already exists than it is to generate something from scratch. And ChatGPT and other large language models just solve this problem. It's so life changing that, for example, Microsoft and Google are building this kind of service into their email apps. So Outlook and Gmail. Like it's just going to be built into our email in the future to help us with this problem. But until then, you can use ChatGPT for it. Here we have another more complex prompt. I'm just going to throw it up on the screen instead of reading it, but it's essentially how to help you draft an outline for something instead of drafting the whole thing from scratch, which technically you can have ChatGPT do, but that's getting into values territory. I use ChatGPT to help me draft a letter of recommendation for a Dear Dance student of mine recently. And that was so helpful to get the bare bones of what a lovely letter of recommendation looks like so I could finesse it and make it say the things I wanted it to say. It was magical. But a lot of people on the internet are like, this can solve your content creation problems. Write your blog posts, write your Instagram posts, write your tweets. And they're just letting ChatGPT do all of the writing for them. And I hate that because, I mean, I'm a writer. I don't want my job stolen. But I do see ChatGPT as a really powerful tool for solving that blank page problem. So that's why I thought this prompt was a really good idea to help you create an outline for something. And it can be anything from an essay to a book to a presentation, a speech, anything that needs an outline. Magical. Moving on to prioritization and planning, because that stuff is hard. Here's a really helpful. Oh, this one's so juicy. I'm so excited about this one for y'all. It's to help you organize your to-do list. Ha 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 ha. So the way these complex prompts work is you literally copy and paste them into ChatGPT and you hit send. You don't add anything. What it'll then do in theory, and I have tested these, so it should be doing this at this point. The part in quotes at the bottom of the prompt, it will then spit that part back at you and you answer the questions and proceed from there. So, what this prompt does is it asks you for your brain dump, asks you what categories or sections you'd want it divided into, and if you have any deadlines or time sensitive tasks. You just give it your brain dump and then it gives you a to do list. You don't have to process it, ChatGPT will. Another thing that can be really hard for those of us with executive dysfunction is breaking tasks or projects down into smaller, more doable steps. And ChatGPT can help you with that. So here's a prompt for that. You give it this prompt, and again, it'll spit out the thing in quotes at you at the bottom. You end up giving it a brief overview of your project, any known dependencies, deadlines, or resources required, the desired timeline or milestones for that project, and you just go, and it helps you break it down into smaller steps. I'm so excited for you. All right, here's another simple prompt. You are an ADHD expert. I'm struggling to figure out what to spend my time on today, and I need help brainstorming. What do you need to know in order to help me? I'm so excited for you because like a lot of what executive function is the ability to have those conversations with yourself in your head. Some people don't even do it as a conversation. Their brain just automatically does it. For those of us who have learned to have that conversation in their head, like me, I can eventually get myself there. Sometimes I'm just too foggy. I'm just too out of it and I need help with that. And I talk with another person about it, or I can use ChatGPT. And now you can use ChatGPT to do this executive function processing successfully because you're not depending on your brain to do it for you. It's magical. Can you tell I'm excited? I'm sorry, I'm excited. I am hyper and happy for you. Okay, next complicated prompt. My lovely assistant was kind enough to remind me that some prompts for those of us who are spoonies would also be really helpful in this guide. Because if you're a spoonie, managing medical stuff requires a lot of executive function. So this one is a prompt to help you prepare for a doctor's appointment. How many of us struggle to prepare for a doctor's appointment? Because that's a lot of work. And if you can outsource the executive function part of it, yeah. Moving on. I hope y'all are enjoying my excitement. Organization. You are a productivity organization expert. I am struggling to organize XYZ. What do you need to know in order to help me? This one's so good. So here's a couple of examples. You are an organization expert. I'm struggling to organize my bathroom. What do you need to know in order to help me? You are a productivity expert. I'm struggling to organize my planner. What information do you need to know in order to help me? I am putting myself out of a job. So much of this is a lot of what I do in my coaching, but I am a person with thoughts and feelings and empathy, and I get to know my clients really well. So I'm able to like hyper personalize these kinds of conversations with my clients and make them significantly more powerful. But if you don't have access to me, which I offer a sliding scale for my program, including a pay what you can scale. I had someone join for $2 last month because that's all they had and they needed my help. So, like, you can access me. But in the times when you can access me, this is magical. It's so good. Here's another one. You are a medical expert. I need help organizing my medical history so that it is easy to share with doctors and other medical providers. Getting so excited. I need to include medical history, symptoms, diagnoses, tests, procedures, prescriptions, past and present, etc. I would like your help first gathering and brainstorming all of this information. Then I would like your help organizing it into an easily shareable format. What do you need from me to get started? When I built this prompt, I was so excited because I actually don't have something like this, but now I know I have a way to create it in the future when I have the time and energy. Another thing that is a part of executive dysfunction is struggles with working memory. So basically your brain's RAM, your random access memory, is small and tends to randomly empty itself out. It's the thing when like someone literally 30 seconds ago told you their name, but you don't remember it. That's a working memory problem. So, for example, if you are trying to respond to a really long and complicated email, instead of first asking ChatGPT to just draft a response to you, it might be helpful for you to wrap your head around the entire email. So you can say, summarize the following, colon, and just paste in the entire novel that your coworker sent you, and it will give you a succinct summary of that whole thing. And then you can ask it in the same ChatGPT chat, now will you help me draft a response to this email? Asking ChatGPT to summarize things, fantastic. You can summarize emails, email chains, articles, blog posts, YouTube videos. You can now, inside YouTube, go find the actual transcript for the video and you can copy and paste the entire thing into ChatGPT and be like, please summarize this for me. And don't forget, you can also specify what tone you want these summaries written in. Another working memory prompt. You are an ADHD expert. I'm struggling with object permanence issues related to insert topic. What do you need to know in order to help me? Object permanence is such a huge, huge problem for those of us with executive dysfunction. So you can have object permanence issues around your to-do list, your grocery list, finding your car keys, remembering to clean the litter box, your list of chores, and you can ask ChatGPT to help you solve that problem and find ways to get that information in front of your eyeballs so you're not struggling with object permanence. Metacognition. So this is the part of the executive function where you're able to like coach yourself through stuff. And obviously all of these prompts kind of fall under this category, right? But I thought it would be helpful to have some specific ideas for that. You are a relationship therapist. I need your help rewording the below email, message, etc. to my partner, friend, family member, whatever. What do you need to know in order to help me? And then you paste the text that you want to be reworded. Another thing you can do is ask it if you're struggling to understand the tone of a message you received. You can ask, you are a relationship therapist. I need your help understanding the tone of the below email, message, etc. from my partner, friend, family member. What do you need to know in order to help me? And then you paste the text. While needing to use an LLM for therapy reasons, it's not the best thing to do, but sometimes that's all we've got. A lot of us don't have access to any therapist at all, or we've been trying to find a therapist, but none of them are quite working for us. Finding the right therapist for you as an individual is really, really, really hard. And then for other reasons, I know even though I have a very long history of the spicy sads, I have never called a hotline. There are good hotlines out there, but that has never seemed to work for me. I could never quite get myself to that point. So if you're someone like me who is like, what else is there? ChatGPT can be one of those things with all of the caveats I've mentioned before, hallucinations and incorrect information. But this prompt, for example, this complex shenanigans I created for you will hopefully reduce the likelihood of those kinds of negative shenanigans. And something that can be really helpful, if you go down and you see the second number 2, reflect on your emotions and reactions to the situation. What are the primary emotions you're experiencing? If that is tripping you up, I highly recommend Googling a feelings wheel and just getting in the general ballpark, the kind of the overall pie slice, and just put that in. Don't make it any harder for yourself than it needs to be. Keep it simple. Another thing, I haven't done this in Chat GPT, but this is something I talk to my clients a lot about, which is changing the committee in your head. Because a lot of us had like abusive parents or authority figures in our childhoods, and those tend to be the voices we hear in our head, right? You can choose other people to listen to. So, for example, one of mine is Kermit the Frog. You can tell ChatGPT to be Kermit the Frog if you so choose. If you want to talk to Rumi, the poet, if you want to talk to Captain Jack Sparrow, not sure why you would want to, besides for entertainment value, but you get what I'm saying. You can talk to Dean Winchester, for example. ChatGPT can also assume a character's persona. And if you just want to talk to a kind, supportive voice, one that you know that will care for you and say the things you need it to say right now, you can ask ChatGPT to be that person. Uncle Iroh from Avatar The Last Airbender is another popular favorite. So is Mr. Rogers. So if you need to talk to a kind person, you can ask ChatGPT to be that kind-hearted person or character. So another thing that is a struggle with executive dysfunction is emotional regulation. And kind of like how I was saying, the feelings wheel can be helpful. If you're just at that place and you're like, I don't know what I'm feeling, this prompt is to help you understand your current emotional state. Getting through that executive function can be so helpful to have ChatGPT's help with. Another one, you are a relationship therapist or coach. I'm struggling to understand how my partner is feeling about something. What do you need to know in order to help me? And then this next one is great if you're having a hard time communicating something to someone in a way that they would understand. It's just a way to, again, solve the blank page problem. So there you have it. ChatGPT 101 for those of us with executive dysfunction. I'm really hoping today's video has empowered you to not only use the prompts I've shared, but also to create your own based on your needs and to modify the ones I shared today to also meet your needs. And like I mentioned before, if you wish these prompts existed in a handy dandy cheat sheet for you to easily copy and paste from, I got you covered. Go to the link in the description box below to download it for free. And if you found all of this information extra valuable, I would really appreciate it if you dropped a tip in my tip jar. We have reached the point at which I update you on what's going on. So I'm still struggling to get the surgery I need. That is why everything has been delayed. I was hoping to get back to YouTube in full force right about now, but I am still working on version 2 of my signature program, the Action Navigator. My priority is to get that done before I come back to YouTube in full swing. What I'm hoping to do is either just like push through it, get through it as fast as I can, or take longer and then try to throw out a random YouTube video here and there, like I'm doing with this one today. The main thing is that I haven't been able to spend as much time and energy on version 2 of my program because I have been spending time and energy trying to navigate my insurance to get them to agree to a single case agreement with my out-of-network surgeon, because this is the only surgeon that can do the thing I need. There isn't an in-network doctor, and convincing my insurance that that is the case has been difficult. So please send me good vibes, people, because this is a surgery I have literally needed for 23 years, but have only known existed for the last 5. And I've been trying to get it for 5 years straight now. And it could be life-changing for me. It's surgery for median arcuate ligament syndrome, which I have been diagnosed with. I'll probably do a whole video on that syndrome after the surgery is over to tell everybody about it. But if you wanted to go look it up, have at it. So that's what I've been up to and why my timeline for 2023 has been pushed out and out and out, because I have made my single biggest priority for myself getting that surgery this year, which means I have had to deprioritize other things like version 2 of my program and this YouTube channel. And I miss doing this work, but I haven't had the capacity to go as quickly as I would like, considering this medical journey is so hard and is making my mental health quite spicy. So that's what I've been up to and why I've been more MIA, and I'm going to continue to be MIA. I am so sorry because I want to be here. I love this work. Thank you for listening. That's what I've been up to. Wish me luck. Check out this video next to learn more about executive dysfunction. It's my OG executive dysfunction video. If you liked this video, hit that like button and subscribe, and be sure to share it with your friends. I'll be back someday. I promise. See you then. Mwah. Bye.